Hey Jeff, how do you arrange music for VoicePlay? Good question. Let's figure it out. There's actually a bunch of ways that you can arrange a song for an a cappella group. For example, you can just sit in a room with your group for a while and sing the song a bunch of times until you have a completed arrangement. This method does work, and when VoicePlay first started out, this is how we did a lot of our arrangements, but it is time-consuming and can also result in creative differences.
Oh yeah? Well, I do like that G7 chord, and you're a scrotum hat.
Damn. You could always pay somebody to arrange a song for your group, but depending on what their skill level is, how much they're getting paid, and what their vision is for the song that you've asked them to arrange, the results can be a mixed bag. Whenever VoicePlay has had to hire arrangers in the past, we always look for the best. But no matter what, we tend to tweak the final arrangement at least a little bit. That's just who we are. You alright back there? You could also sit down with paper and a pencil and score a chart with your bare hands, but don't do that. You're not a bear. Unless, of course, you are a bear. And then enjoy that trout. Right. So we've discovered that there are a lot of ways you can get the job done, and none of them are wrong or right, but here's how I do it. First, the tools you'll need. And this is kind of like the bare minimum setup, and you can get a lot more fancy, but if you start here, you're in a good place. So, a computer, a USB microphone, a phone, and a piece of recording software capable of MIDI. Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, Ableton Live. Don't worry if this sounds expensive or complicated, it's really not. Just stick with me here. Let's look at a song that I recently arranged, Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay.
Honestly, finding a place to start with the song is often the hardest part, but once VoicePlay decides on a song that we're going to do, it's just a matter of setting a deadline and then getting to work. The very first thing I do is I go find the original track on iTunes or Apple Music. I buy it, download it, and throw it into Logic. Boom, done. Then I listen to the song a handful of times. And while I'm listening, I'm trying to look for places where I can add moments. What can I say about this song that the original artist didn't say? How can I add something to the body of work without being too kitchen sinky? After I've listened a handful of times and got a feel for the tune, or in this case, refamiliarize myself with it, I head to YouTube and look for as many different versions as I can get a hold of to see what other people have done with the song. Sometimes somebody has had your exact same idea. Sometimes somebody else's cover of a song will send you in a direction you never ever would have thought of. I knew pretty much right away that I wanted this song to start simply. And I thought that if we put the melody in the bass line at the very beginning of the song, it would add something new to the overall body of work that the world hadn't necessarily seen before.
When you're weary, feeling small.
Additionally, Bridge Over Troubled Water has a huge drum entrance towards the last verse. And personally, I always wanted that moment to be bigger. This was my chance.
Sail on, silver girl. Sail on by.
So with those two things in mind, my first task is to sit down and plot the entire song out in MIDI. Now each audio program is going to have a different input method, but this is how it works in Logic, the program that I use. Basically, you just open up a new MIDI track, command click, there you have your note, and then just option drag all the way through the song until you have the melody plotted out. Once the melody is in, I move on to the bass line. Once I have the melody and the bass line finished, then the fun starts. In VoicePlay we have 5 voices, so I'll give each voice part its own color so I can differentiate the parts visually in the MIDI tracks. Then I start filling in moments and chords, and all the while I'm doing that, I'm trying to think about what are these chords going to sound like? as oohs or ahs or delays or inversions or counter melodies or just space for the vocalist, the lead vocalist, to play. There are no wrong answers here, but in my experience, there are answers that are more right than others. How long does this process take? Typically, when I sit down to do just the MIDI part of the arrangement, that first part, that can take anywhere from between 6 to 8 hours if it's just a single song. Medleys take a little longer and are a little harder, but maybe that's obvious. Once I've got the song MIDI'd out, I take a break. I am a firm believer in the Don Draper way of working on something. No, the other Don Draper way of working on something.
What?
I find that after I've worked on something for a long time and really focused on it, once I take a break, my brain will keep spinning away and keep working on it, and I'll have some of my best ideas when I am in the worst places.
You ready to settle this like men, Kath?
Sure. Say hello to Abby and Tim.
Just had a great idea.
Which is why it's always important to have your phone with you, to record your ideas into your voice memos app or something like that, and never marry an Italian. Once I have all my ideas down in MIDI, I actually sing every single part, even the tenor lines. What I actually do is I sing them down the octave and then I pitch them up, because honestly I just don't sound that good singing in Earl's World. It's at this point, once I've actually sung in all the parts and I have a rough mix together, that I can actually hear with my ears what I've only been hearing in my head this whole time. And sometimes the arrangement is perfect just the way it is, but more often than not, I have to do some edits and re-sing a couple things, because some of the places where I thought was going to be great ended up being turds. Happens. So once I've edited and made changes and gotten a rough demo together, I will do what is probably my least favorite part of this whole process, but definitely the most helpful, and that is sending the demo out to the other 4 guys so they can listen to it and then tell me how much I suck. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I just wanted to tell you how much you suck.
Thanks. Seriously though, this part of the process might be the most important. Getting honest feedback from people who are hearing your song, your arrangement for the very first time can be painful, but if you put your ego and your pride aside, you can get some really valuable feedback on what works and what doesn't.
You remember that part where you had me singing in Klingon? Yeah, you're gonna have to cut that, bro.
Oh yeah? Well, your face looks like a toilet. Like I said, it's important to not take things personally. Once everyone has given me notes, I'll make final edits for the complainers, guys, and then send them the final demo along with their own part-dominant rehearsal track. So their part will be panned left, or maybe your left, I don't know how this works, and then the other parts will be panned right. If you're wearing headphones right now, it sounds like this.
Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down.
We found that over the years, this is the fastest and best way for us to learn music, which is why, if you've asked us for sheet music for one of our arrangements before, we probably don't have it because we don't really use it. That ends up being like the very, very, very last step of the process. So all told, this entire process will probably take anywhere from a couple 8-hour days to maybe like a week of work, from initial concept to final demo to having rehearsal tracks out to the guys. I know that there are some people out there that can knock out an arrangement in a couple hours. I'm not one of those people. This is the way that I've found tends to be the best for us and for me. And if something is going to live on the internet forever, I want it to be the best possible version that I can do, or that we as a group can do. So yeah, I think the work is worth it. In closing, I think there are a few key takeaways that you should remember. 1, it's not enough for your arrangement to just be an a cappella copy of the original song. You are better and more creative than that. Say something new. 2, try to keep it simple. Some of the best groups out there are doing pretty simple arrangements. A great arrangement should be easy to sing and easy to listen to, without having had like years and years of music theory to understand it. 3, edit, edit, edit. If you can find somebody to listen to your arrangement for you and give honest feedback, that's super helpful. And of course, try not to take it too personally. 4, arrange for the voices that you have in your group, not the voices that you wish you had in your group. For example, if your tenor doesn't like singing high F sharps or singing in Klingon, maybe make a different choice. So that's it. Thanks for watching. As always, if you guys have comments or questions, please drop them below, and I'll see you next time.